Minimalism.
Minimalist.
Minimal.
Minimalism.
The heck is minimalism? Maybe you've heard that a billion times already, but are you sure you know what minimalism actually means? Well, let's find out. So, according to the Oxford Dictionary, minimalism stands for 1. A movement in sculpture and painting which arose in the 1950s, characterized by the use of simple, massive forms. 2. An avant-garde movement in music characterized by a repetition of very short phrases which change gradually, producing a hypnotic effect. But today we'll focus on this one. 3. Minimalism is deliberate lack of decoration or adornment in style or design. So, like, intentionally not putting stuff on your walls and tables, right? Well, yes, but not quite. The beginning of this movement comes from the end of the Second World War, but has recently picked up speed in our global culture of waste, unintentional consumerism, and hundreds of cheap things you bought from China that you even forgot that you wanted before they even arrived. Minimalism is also associated with a style, the conscious act of not putting things all around your room, the simplicity, if you will. Minimalism roots itself in an attempt to live as far away from our consumerism and oversized everything culture in a simpler style. But why would anybody want to implement that in any way, shape or form? Be it physically, digitally, in your life systems? Like, why would you actually want to implement minimalism? And also, who would want to rid themselves of their own stuff?
Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need.
Well, minimalism, or how it's also known, essentialism, or intentionalism, isn't about throwing stuff out just for the sake of it. It's about the essential things. It's not about ridding yourself of stuff and experiences just because you have to in order to retain your minimalist badge. It's mainly about not holding on to what you don't need or want. It's about being able to see a shirt you like in a sea of clothes you haven't worn in years. It's about giving a purpose to the stuff you don't use, offering its usefulness to other people who might enjoy those things. It's about the physical space you make room for and for the mental hustle you eliminate once you've actually rid yourself of all that stuff. It's about the space to breathe, to think, to not feel overwhelmed, and to only have that which is essential for you. Once you've rid yourself of the stuff you don't really use or want, or stuff that doesn't spark joy, you give yourself the space in order to redefine what makes you you. Once you have the required free space within your life, then you give yourself the chance to choose what do you want to fill that space with. Once you leave what you no longer need, you're free to pursue whatever you do need. Once you've minimized yourself enough, when you no longer are carrying the boulder of what's no longer for you, you leave room for the important things in your life. Be it actual stuff, be it your professional opportunities you really want, or most importantly, the people that really matter. But as good as all of that sounds, there's definitely a point after which we can go too far. A life full of stuff, but empty of relationships, sure is miserable. But it's not necessarily any better to be all alone, left to feel miserable in an empty apartment. It's great to rid ourselves of the stuff that we don't consider to be essential, but not when it actually takes away from the joy of being and the joy of doing. Minimalism sure is great, but we can definitely overdo it. When we put the badge of minimalism in front of our real life needs, in front of our pleasures and our desires, then we have definitely overdone it. When putting the philosophy of not owning much in front of the actual utility and enjoyment of life that it may bring, then minimalism, or rather our use of minimalism, becomes a problem. When we throw out good working things just because we want the new stuff in the name of minimalism, that's a real problem. When we consume bigger instead of consuming more, we aren't finding any more of what's essential. So how can we make sure that we apply minimalism in the right way for us? Well, here's a few rule of thumbs. Are you really buying that for yourself? for the good that it may bring to your quality of life? Or are you buying it to show off a logo, or to attempt to impress others, or to try to prove to ourselves that we are worthy of loving ourselves? Think and feel what it is that you need, what it is that you want, and would be a sustainable purchase decision for you. What's gonna last a while instead of throwing it out, only for it to become e-waste in a few months when the battery dies or the proprietary cord breaks? Think about the alternatives of buying stuff. Would you really be using that at its full capacity? Do you really desire that for your own self? Or do you want to buy that in order to feel like you fit in with the others? Think about the last phone or laptop you bought. You are all so intensely focused on buying that, your whole life was about that purchase. But 1 year later, you barely even think about that piece of technology or that clothing. Leave it in your basket for like a month and only check out if you still feel like that is really for you and that you have no alternative for that thing. Do a packing party. Just put everything that you own into boxes. Put it away for a month, and whenever the time comes that you actually need something, only then get it out of the box. In a few weeks, or even a month or two, you'll see the stuff that you actually use and you actually need. And you'll also have a pile of boxes of the stuff you don't really use or need or want. Most of the things mentioned in this video have to be given proper credit for. So thank you to all of the individuals online and offline that are helping create a culture of essentialism. I'll do my best to link as many of their profiles down below in the description, where you can also find my newsletter. And as the minimalists would say, love people and use things, because the opposite never works. See you when I see you.